boys and girls, we're back with another very timely video. It's my favorite movies of 2 fucking years ago. Let's go! 2021 pretty much has the most movies I've ever, considered great. There were so many that year, it was crazy. The Oscars that year was sick too. You had Dune, you had fucking Nightmare Alley, you had... what else did you have? Judas and the Black Messiah, was that year? I think so. I can't remember. Yeah, just so much great stuff that was big and small, and I went out of my way to see so much stuff, and all of it was usually great. There were so many awesome movies. So these are my runners-up. You might not be able to see me in the frame, but you can see my hands. Those were really good. I liked these. I didn't like them as much as my top 10, but these are my honourable mentions. My top 10 of that year is so excellent, and my top 3 especially are movies that I've seen about 4 or 5 times at this point. They're just gonna become classics, and I'm so glad that I saw them when I did in a theatre, because I just fucking love them. Without further ado, let's just kill a baby onto number 10. This is the sequel to The Souvenir, which is a film from 2019. I think that movie is an absolute masterpiece. I love it so much. It's so powerful, and the directing is so, distinct, and there's so many moments in that movie that are burned into my head. In this second movie, there's only really one image that's burned into my head, and it's the final moment when the main character breaks down in a dim room watching footage of the Berlin Wall, and that's just totally lodged in my mind. It's not quite the masterpiece of the first movie for me yet, unfortunately, but the incredible character interactions and dialogue of that first movie are usurped in the second by some really excellent, bold visual direction. There are some fascinating editing choices here, and the production of everything, especially that final student film presentation scene where it kind of turns into a dream, it's all so, crazy good for an independent film. Richard Ayoade is also an absolute scene stealer. The audience was cackling when I saw it. He plays this temperamental director who keeps having tantrums, and it's just the perfect role for him, basically.
Delightful news for someone who cares.
I'm not big on a few narrative choices. There's a scene where the main character is trying to smash Joe Alwyn, Taylor's ex, and he reveals himself as gay, and the movie keeps going like that didn't happen. That was, absolute swill. I don't know why the fuck that was in there, but at its core, this movie is about as mysterious, dreamlike, and delicate as the first.
Did you avoid the temptation to be obvious?
I think so.
That's all you can hope for, isn't it?
This is easily the most art house boring movie on this little list of mine. This is a documentary that only uses 3 minutes of footage, I know, isn't that a sell, with voiceover, and that's it. I don't even entirely love this movie, but I love thinking about it and what it means. These 3 minutes of footage is evidence of a small Jewish town just before the Holocaust, and a lot of the voiceover we hear is that of relatives piecing together the lives of their parents and grandparents that they found in this newly discovered footage. This movie is like a real-life Obra Dinn, you know that video game? A massive logic puzzle where the mere act of solving it speaks to the nature of history and the deeper themes of the movie, and every new person we know about adds to developing this community, so some shots then hold more meaning than before. Helena Bonham Carter is the narrator, and she's a perfect choice for it. Her voice is just so soothing. This movie is unremarkable, boring, sad, and definitely not for everybody, but I'm a pretentious little film head, so of course it's on here.
But of all the Polish towns destroyed in the Holocaust, Michelsk is among the very few that exist in moving pictures, among just a handful preserved in color.
Yeah, this movie has great music, great cinematography and lighting especially, and Lakeith Stanfield is fucking phenomenal in it. Really well paced too, and the ending is brutal. Yeah, check it out.
I'm gonna die for the people cause I live for the people. I live for the people cause I love the people.
This is an incredibly sleepy, warm film, the kind that feel very earnest and romantic and that you don't really see anymore. Its premise and use of location are evocative and effectively dramatic, and the sparseness of, emotional detail means that the moments of genuine connection are quite sweet and magical in this. It's a movie that's far more fun to simply sit on and think about than to watch again, as some of its pacing and occasional distance kept me from necessarily adoring it. But certain specific moments in this woman's trip are sure to stick in your head in hazy detail, the same way they stick in the main characters.
Как будет? Я тебя люблю.
Haista vittu.
И как?
Haista vittu.
Вот!
The first half of this movie is so much fun. It's fast-paced, it understands its characters perfectly, and the directing is really top-notch. The opening sort of prologue, it's like the introduction to the character, is snappy as anything, and the rest of the movie is really like that. The main woman is totally relatable, and I thought the fresh and distinct voice this movie had was highly enjoyable. Personally, a lot of that got hamstrung for me by an incredibly annoying and bleh ending that I got next to nothing out of, and I still feel that way after seeing it a couple of times. Everything up to the scene where she kind of trips balls was so awesome. I wish when movies like this have that light bubbly tone before getting serious, that seriousness really feels like it came beforehand. In this case, I rolled my eyes at a certain thing that happens to one of the characters at the end. The main woman's ability to deal with this specific sort of certain tragedy was not something I felt helped the movie out, and I felt it kind of bogged down the uniqueness and freshness of what came before it. I was thinking, like, what's the most obvious way of getting the main character to this point of personal reflection by the end of the movie? And my answer in my head of what a bad movie would do was the thing that happened. Besides this, the movie's a really super fun time, and I love the tone so much, and I really, really love the main character. The way she feels about things is, she's literally me.
Da fikser vi alt det andre.
Ja, jeg elsker det. Men jeg elsker det ikke.
The Florida Project is one of my favorite movies ever, and it's by the same director, and this movie is not quite as good, but it's definitely funnier. This movie is just bonkers. I did not know what the fuck it was going for the first like half an hour, and then when I realized what it was going to do, I sort of just went, oh, is this the plot? And then it was, and I loved it. The first time I saw it, I was so confused by the ending, and I think that's genuinely because I got tricked. I got tricked by the main character because he's so charismatic and you're so locked in his head that you almost want him to succeed, and then on a rewatch I was like, wow, why did I ever like this guy? Simon Rex is so good and so funny. The story of him getting invited to do the movie and how he used to make porn himself is so great, and everything Sean Baker does has one of those ridiculous behind-the-scenes stories to it. Every reference to Trump-era America is great as well. I love the use of music and the really low-quality film stock. Sean Baker is just doing this shit better than the rest. His last two movies feel so off the cuff and so creatively inspired. Check him out.
Peekaboo!
Ma!
See, your mom's saying, let him in and take a shower. And the dog's like, oh, he's a good man, I can tell by his nice energy.
This movie is nuts. This movie is entirely shot in one take. Not cheated like Birdman or 1917. This movie was actually filmed entirely in one take. One, like, 80 or 90 minute take. Once you know that and you're focusing on that, the plot and everything does not matter in the slightest. There's a moment, there's this sort of bitchy service lady who's in charge of floor in the restaurant, and she gets yelled at, and you're like, yes, good, fuck her. And then she goes into the bathroom and she starts crying, and she calls her dad saying, I can't do this anymore, I thought I could be this sort of ruthless person, but I can't, can you please come help me? And then you're like, holy shit, like I feel so bad for her. And then you realize that the reason the camera went into the bathroom here, and the reason that she's in the bathroom in the first place, is so that they could change details out the front, including like lighting or the people on the tables, so that the one take could continue. When you start to think about how good the planning is, that it's interwoven into the plot, it's insane. You have to check it out just to marvel at it. It's such a shame something like Birdman gets all that attention because it did it first, when this is just infinitely more impressive to me. The acting is all great. This Stephen Graham guy is the MVP of every single project he's in. He plays a skinhead in the This Is England movie and TV show, and he's amazing in that. He's amazing in this, and he steals the show in Venom 2, Let There Be Cringe. The ending of this movie sucks though. The final 30 seconds of this movie make me go, oh, fuck off. And some of the acting is a little strained, some of the wires do show, you know? There's a moment where one guy goes to take out the bins and it goes for like 90 seconds and it has no bearing on the rest of the movie. And I go, okay, like the one take thing was a little obvious there. But other than that, I would recommend this to pretty much everyone. This was the real hidden gem of the year for me on this list.
Don't tell me I don't understand. I don't understand. I'm here covering your ass every single day, Andy. I can't take it anymore.
I think the thing that a lot of Dune heads don't realize is that their sort of coveted book is not good. The reason the Lynch movie sucks, outside of some of the ridiculous scenes, is because the book is also stupid and illogical.
Bring in that floating fat man, the Baron.
And of course, this is only the first half of the stupid, overly self-serious Dune book, so the fact that this is good at all is fucking amazing to me. Denis Villeneuve is just such a creative person that he took these things that in the book made me go, Really? Like you're just pulling this out of your ass? Into something that felt really unique and built into the world and also really scary. The Baron in this movie is intimidating. Stellan Skarsgård is perfect casting for that, and Rebecca Ferguson is really great as well as Paul's mother. It comes as a surprise to nobody that the worst performance is the wet mop himself, Timothée Chalamet, although his character is kind of meant to be a dickhead by the second book, and I know Denis likes the second book, so maybe his performance is meant to make him look like a dweeb piece of shit, but even so, I would have taken fucking literally any other actor playing him, any other actor as Paul. Simon Rex would have played him better. You know, a lot of people like this movie, but when they say that they like it, they say, oh, it's John Wick with a pig. Ooh, it's John Wick with a pig. Ooh. Shut the fuck up. This is not John Wick with a pig, okay? Nicolas Cage is not in John Wick. This is Conair with a pig, baby. Let's go. I love this movie to death. For this to be a debut is absolutely crazy to me. Every bit of it feels so coordinated and expressive and interesting, and there's so little dialogue in sections of this movie that are carried entirely by directing choices, and everything about those is perfect and is just so great. I love the look of this movie in particular, and the music is really atmospheric and moody. All of the acting is amazing. This is the best Nicolas Cage performance of all time. Apart from maybe The Wicker Man.
What is it? What's wrong, sister?
The restaurant scene with the chef who sort of self-combusts is the scene everyone shares, but the moment that made me feel it was the best movie of 2021 is Nicolas Cage's monologue about what will happen eventually to the city he lives in.
Every 200 years, we get an earthquake right along the coast. One's coming up. When the shock wave hits, most of the city will flatten. Every bridge will fall. Anyone who survives that is just waiting. 5 minutes later, they'll look up and they'll see a wave 10 stories high. And then all of this, everyone, it's all gonna be at the bottom of the ocean. Again.
Yeah, dialogue doesn't get much better than that. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you figured out how to fuck your car. Personally, I would use the gear stick. And make sure to subscribe if you still need to find your pig. Thank you guys for watching. Bye!